welcome to another episode of Happy Life with Maria podcast. We're literally recording in the middle of interesting
Pouring
weather.
rain.
We have rain today, which we did not expect, but
It's for good luck.
We're gonna carry on anyway. So today we have an amazing guest. This is Yelena from Aneley Cosmetics, who happens to be a cousin of mine also.
A proud cousin.
Yeah, and she has a very interesting life story and journey, and has a very interesting life lessons that she has learned throughout her life. So today we're going to get into that, and hopefully you find it just as enjoyable as I do. So welcome, Yelena.
Thank you so much.
So happy to have you. So why don't we start with a little bit about your background, like how did you get started and what did you do before what you're currently doing?
You mean like my professional life?
Yes.
So, funny enough, I did not start in the beauty industry at all, which is very interesting because I've done a detour, which is actually really kind of I don't know. It's so many detours, and I'm going to get into it. But basically, I've always been fascinated with psychology. So I went to school to become a psychologist, and when I was in school, it was fantastic. I mean, I had a 4.0 GPA, and I loved it so much, and I graduated with the degree. But when I started doing internships, I realized, and no offense to my fellow mental health and human service workers, but it was boring. It was so boring. I'm just gonna say it. And if you feel me, comment below and let us know if you totally with me on this one. It was not fulfilling enough for me. It was not. And you're also very creative, so you totally feel me. Like me and her have a lot in common in that sense. We need to feel like we're moving and we're shaking and we're doing and we're achieving things. And I felt like it was very rewarding, and I was definitely helping people, but I wasn't really doing anything. I was just listening and putting the paperwork together. So one of my friends, her name is Lilia, my best friend, she called me and she said, "What are you doing? You have to become a hairdresser. Go become a cosmetologist." I was like, "I'm not touching anybody's hair. Forget it." I went to, with my sister, one of my sisters, I went to salon every week. I was like one of those, really into myself in terms of looks. And so she was calling me every single day for a month. She said, "Go, it's gonna be great." And I said, "Never." And then one evening I was really, really tired, and she called me and she's like, "Could you just please do me a favor and go for me?" And I was like, "Okay, fine." Ooh, it's a storm coming.
We're having a very interesting way.
I love it. Okay, so anyways, and I was like, "Okay, fine." So I called the school and I make an appointment and I said, "Could I just come in for like just orientation or whatever?" They said, "Sure." As I walked in, I was like, this is not exciting. It was just a regular hallway with a bunch of classrooms, and I was going through, and she was showing me, over here we do this and over here we do that, and I was like, okay. Mind you, it's 9 p.m. and I'm very tired and I don't care. I'm just literally doing my friend a favor.
Okay.
But then we come to the last room. They called it a graduating class, the graduating floor, whatever. And I'm looking in the room, and it has color, and women are doing color and makeup, and there's glitter, and there's music is blasting, and I was like, oh my God, yes, that's what I want to do. And immediately I put down, there was $100 deposit, and I was like, I'm putting it down, and I took home the paperwork, and I came home, and I told my parents, and they were like, "You going from a psychologist to a barber?" I'm like, "It's not a barber, it's a cosmetologist, which is PhD in beauty," like you could say. It's really, really like, how higher can you go in terms of like hairdressing, whatever. And they were totally against it. Everybody was against it.
Oh,
and
really?
I said, literally everybody except for my friend. Yeah, she was like, just do it. And I was like, and when I make a decision, I just go for it. So I had maybe like, I don't know, $7,000 in savings. And what did I spend it on? Jewelry.
What do you mean?
I was like, I spent it on jewelry. Actually, both of them I wore for my wedding and for the reception after the wedding, so it paid off.
Okay.
But I literally spent every dime because I was so stressed in my previous work that I was like, I just need to start fresh, let everything go, and I literally did that. So I had to take a loan for like $13,500 to go to school, and I did. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. And even though it was like so much pressure, you understand Russian parents, right? Like they want you to be a doctor or an accountant or a lawyer, whatever. And this was so not conventional.
Like a solid job.
Solid job.
Yeah.
And so and then when they started seeing, okay, she's winning hair competitions like she's getting noticed. Okay, fine. And they kind of warmed up to it, and they were really proud of me. So that's how I kind of got into the beauty industry. But then, of course, is where actually I really appreciate your podcast, because you talk about real stories.
Yes.
And it's not just about, oh my God, you're so like fancy and how did you do it? And that's it. It's really like a life story and life lessons. And when she told me about doing a podcast with me, I was like, really, with me?
Yeah.
You know, because you always, everybody has an imposter syndrome. You don't, we don't think we are relevant or important enough to be on someone's in someone's space, right? Because whatever, life gets in the way sometimes. But when I started in the industry, I was working as an assistant in a small salon in Manhattan. It was in Greenwich Village, I remember. It was called Donna McNally Salon. And she really had a huge influence on me. And I know to this day, a lot of things that she taught me, I'm doing. But as I was working there and getting myself kind of into the groove of being a hairdresser, my father told me, why don't you do your own thing? And I was like, never. What are you talking about? I'm literally learning. I just graduated. And he said, so what? My nutritionist said, there's a salon available in Bay Ridge. Why don't you take it? And I was like, I don't know anything about this business. I'm not doing it. And my dad, you know that. Obviously, you know that's your uncle. He is a very chill person. He's like, okay, so if it's not gonna go, you're gonna just go back to being an assistant. What's the problem?
Good. That's good.
And that pushed me to become what I am today. That was like a catalyst for my change, because he said, what's the problem? Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Oh, that's a good
So you're just gonna go back to where you were. Like, but you're gonna learn a lot of things on the way, and no one lives and doesn't learn. So I was like, okay, fine. So it took me 3 months to say, okay, fine. And he gave me this opportunity. Wow, do you hear that?
Interruption. Let's give it a moment.
I think we have visitors.
It's okay. It's okay.
Anyways, I hope the mic doesn't pick that up too much.
continue,
It's like
we
thunder in here.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was in the salon. I was growing it, and it was really going well for me. And then one night, I get a phone call at 4 a.m. and I pick up the phone, and it's my landlord at the time, and he had this very heavy Greek accent. And the first thing he says, which is so horrible now that I'm older and I'm just kind of processing it, the first thing he says is, everything is burned down. Everything is on the floor.
Oh.
And it felt like a dream. It felt like I'm still sleeping. Like I don't think I'm awake. And he just keeps going on and on. Elena, there was a fire. The ceiling is on the floor. He was an older gentleman, and it was such a heavy accent. I was like, oh my God, it sounded worse than it was. So I'm in total shock. I hang up the phone. I walk into my parents' room. I can't even speak. And I'm crying. And all I could say is Elmis. That was the name of my salon. Initials of all my siblings. And my mom started crying. And she's like, what happened? And I'm like, Elmis burned down.
Your salon?
Yeah, my salon. And my mom starts crying. And my father goes, Mazal Tov! Which is like amazing, like in the Hebrew, I guess. And I was like, that's such a weird reaction. But at the same time, it snapped me out of this total sadness. Because he was like, okay, so what is the next thing we're doing? You know what I'm saying?
What's next? He was like, what's next?
That's what he meant by it. Not because he was mean, but because he's like, okay, so
One
like
chapter is
Mazal Tov,
over.
let's
One
go.
chapter is
We
over.
keep moving. And so we go there, and I see there's like 5-alarm fire. It's like 5 fire department cars. And I'm looking around, and guess what? It's a miracle story. My salon didn't burn. The whole building that my salon was in burned. My salon suffered terrible water damage from hosing down the building.
But didn't burn.
It didn't burn.
Wow.
And then somebody says, well, what was different from her salon? The business next door burned. The whole building burned. How is this little salon still fine? And then somebody told me it's because I had all of these, those blessings that people gave me when I opened the salon. They said that's probably why, because you were protected. Oh. I was like, oh my God, you know what? At that point, I didn't care what the reason was. I was just happy that it wasn't so bad. Obviously, I couldn't work there anymore. It was done. So, and then after that, of course, I sipped into this crazy depression. I was like, oh my God, my life is over. I was like 25, and my world was salon. I put so much into it. And so my dad, he literally told me, he's like, okay, listen, you can either choose to keep on like dwelling on this, or you can go pick yourself up. You're young, you have so much going for you, go and make things happen. So I did. I did exactly that. And then I met the person that used to be my supplier in the previous salon. He came to me and he's like, you know what? You've done such a good job in that salon, which is amazing. You brought it up from nothing. Why don't you come work with me in Manhattan, where the World Trade Center was, used to be, I should say.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And I went there, and then I met my husband.
Aww.
And my husband is religious, and I wasn't. And things were just kind of happening. Like I felt like I'm just getting a fresh start, and then bam, I have to switch. And then I'm getting another fresh start, and then bam, I have to switch. So he was, even though he was a religious person, he never pushed me in any way. He was very like subtle and like, I would really appreciate it if you did this. I would really appreciate it if you did that. And the way he was so wonderful that I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna keep, Sabbath in our religion, right? Yes. And I said, okay, fine, no problem. And then I had to give up Saturdays but Saturdays were very busy days, right? So I gave up Saturdays. I stopped working on Saturdays, and then I thought I'm gonna do. Right before that, I was doing a lot of shows, backstage shows. And because of this, I said, you know what, it's worth it. He's such a wonderful guy. So I stopped doing the backstage shows.
Wow.
So again, it's like, I felt like, where is the universe pushing me towards? Like, where am I going? I got the salon, it went away. I got a job in a great salon on great terms. I quit. Then when we got married, I was like, okay, so I'm working, I'm doing well, fine. My husband would drive me back and forth. I was pregnant with my son. And then one day, he drives me back and we hit a terrible pothole. I was like 7 months pregnant with our oldest. And the doctor says, you can't work for 2 weeks. I was like, come on, like, what do you want from me? Like, when is this gonna stop? I was just choking. But at the time when I was at the salon, I was doing a lot of facials.
Okay.
And I'm the type of person, I listen to the clues from the universe. I listen to the clues from the places where if I don't understand what's going on, I'm like, okay, you know what? Just take the wheel. Just take the wheel. I don't know what to do. I'm giving up. I would be sitting there literally by my computer and I'd be crying because I'm like, I don't know how to navigate this life. Because no matter what I started, it was like just like throwing me off. The whole it was like literally throwing me off. Oh my gosh. It was literally throwing me off, and so I really I think even the universe is like, I remember that day.
reminder of that day.
No, it was horrible. It was horrible. And so finally I said, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the flow, because at that point there was no other way to do it. It was really no other way to do it. And my father at the time had a barbershop. Okay. You know that?
Yes.
He just bought it like 2 years before this whole thing happened.
Okay.
And he's like, listen, I have women. It's men and women separate in the salon. So he's like, the women's section is just sitting there like a storage. Why don't you come and do something with it? Because women are always asking me, do you have a woman hairdresser? Do you have a woman hairdresser? And here I'm sitting pregnant. I can't do anything. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is my way out. And when I came there, at the time, I was like, this isn't creative enough for me, because the most creativity I did was like haircuts, and it was very basic haircuts. And I was used to like crazy fashion shows and like crazy haircuts and just so much going on, and the loud music. Yeah. And this was very quiet, very like kind of like down to earth, very chill atmosphere. It was so not me. I would come home and I would tell my husband, I can't do this. Like I need this. I need that hype. I need the life. I need all that. And he was like, you know what? Just trust that the universe is gonna pull through. Just like keep looking for yourself. And I was like, all right. So we already had one and then a second one. And as I was working in the salon, I was doing a lot of facials, right? Going back to that. And women started asking, could we put makeup on right after facials or waxing? Right? And then, of course, I'm a people pleaser. I'm an oldest child, so I'm very responsible. So I'm like, I gotta find a way to help women. And so I started Googling, where do we go? Google University. And I couldn't find any brand that was safe enough to apply right after facials and waxing, because as you know, you've done facials for yourself, you're not allowed to apply anything after facials for at least 8 hours, because it may irritate the skin and mess with the amazing work that the esthetician did for you.
Okay.
So I went to, I started going to trade shows, and from trade show to trade show to trade shows, trying to find what I'm looking for. Like I didn't even know what to call it. I just knew I needed makeup to apply right after facials. So what do you know? Again, the universe has to do something for me. I think it was like May 9th. I don't know why I want to say May 9th. It just in my head, it was, and then the night before I said, Daniel, my husband, please don't do anything. Don't go anywhere. Don't do anything. I don't want anything to sabotage tomorrow because it's a really big day. He's like, it's fine. I'm just going to go play basketball and come back. I said, please don't go play basketball. And he knows this, if you're listening. And go there and I'm going to just go there and play basketball. I was like, please just, and then I'm like, you know what? If you're going to go and something happens, I don't care. I'm still going. What do you know? He comes home and he fractured his foot. His friends are bringing him.
No.
And at this point, after so many things that happened, I just broke down. That was my breaking point. I broke down and I started crying and I started like fuming and screaming, and I was like, I'm still going. Call your mom, call your brothers, call whoever you want, hire whoever you want. I'm going to this show.
I need to make it happen.
I need to make it happen. And what do you know? I come there to the show, and at the end of the show, I walk into the small booth, and there's a gentleman there, and I just started talking to him because I was like, I guess I'm never gonna find the solution. And he goes, oh, I know what you need. You need pharmaceutical grade minerals. I was like, what the heck is pharmaceutical grade minerals?
Speaking to you again.
The universe was like, I am taking you somewhere. Just wait. Like, just get through things. Just get things done. Just let me do this. Don't bother with how you're gonna get there. I'm gonna bother. You just continue doing and walking your path. Like that's the message that I was thinking that's happening. There's no other explanation. Like enough already. You know, like just too many things are happening. And that's how. And then I met them, and then we came out with the line of foundations. And then women started asking, well, could we have lipsticks? Could we have this? Could we have that? And I was like, wow, I guess I have to name it and make it a business, because like I call it something. So I took my name, Yelena, and I reversed it. And that's how you get Aneley Cosmetics.
Aneley is Yelena
backwards.
Your cosmetics line. Yes.
So it's Yelena backwards. And we just took it from there. And now it's, thank God, it's been almost 10 years.
Wow.
Almost 10 years, and we went global. And and it became a favorite. And it just kind of took many, many different turns and evolved in many ways. But the point of the whole story is that sometimes it's out of our hands. Sometimes we just, no matter how we're trying to control the situation, it's out of our hands. It is not, we can't do anything. We just can't. And we just have to make our peace with it and say, okay, I'm sure it's for a greater good. Let's just see how it'll unfold.
Awesome. I love it. I love the little journey you shared, the little background you have. It's beautiful. I have some questions.
Okay.
So I know the weather is really interrupting us at the moment, but
you want to go inside, or you're good?
We can continue inside if you want.
Whatever you want. What do you want to do?
We can keep going here.
Whatever you want. We'll just soak wet and then take a hot
like
shower. I'm like soaking wet.
We're like getting so wet.
Anyways, go on.
Okay. So do you want to go inside? We can go inside. We don't have to stay here.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Okay, so I guess because you've had such an interesting journey and you have seen how sometimes if you try to control something, it doesn't really always happen the way that you want it to. What would you say is like a piece of advice you would tell to people who do like to be very controlling? They like to be very set in their ways, and they like to, decide how it's going to go and what this is going to be. And they're very, very controlling. What would you tell them?
Well, as a recovering perfectionist myself, and most of us, right? I know you are also. You like things a certain way.
Yeah.
At least you did before. Now I think you're like me, a little bit more loosened up. I will tell you, I watched a movie once, and the psychologist took sand in her hand, and she said, hold it tight. And so when you hold it tight, the sand started falling out of it. And then she said, now let it go, like just hold it loosely. And all the sand stayed in her hand. So what does that mean? It means the more you control the situation, the less control you really have. The less you control the situation, the more control you really have. Why? Because when we are overthinking things and we're like kind of, oh my God, it's not going the way you want, it's not going the way you want. The way the universe works, right? We're just gonna go, I guess, that route.
Yes, let's do it.
The way the universe works, and I'm no expert, but I just, based on my experience and what I read.
From your view,
If you tell the universe, I really want to have a red Maserati, whatever.
Okay.
A car. It's for those that don't know. A red car. And then you set that goal, I want the red car. And I want to get the red car through a job that I'm gonna get tomorrow when I go on my interview. Because I'm gonna make a certain amount of money. You just set conditions that the universe is gonna say, well, if this is how you wanna get to your red car, then I guess we'll have to see how that goes. Instead, you should say, I want the red car. Don't put any conditions how you're gonna get
Specifics about every detail of this is where, when.
Because how is not our problem. We just want to place an order on Amazon. Whether it's gonna be UPS delivering it, or FedEx delivering it, or USPS delivering it, or a Joe Schmo across the street delivering it, it doesn't matter. We just want our phone, our diaper, whatever we're ordering, right? Do you care who delivers it?
No, as long as you
get it. As long as you get it, right.
As long as you get it.
As long as you get it, right. So that alignment comes from within you, right? A lot of people are talking about, oh my God, be true to yourself, but what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
What is that, right? What it is that you speak, when you're speaking, you match your feelings.
You're fully in your
You know how sometimes
energy.
people ask you, hey, do you want to have some? And you're like, you really don't want to, but you just want to be nice. And you're like, oh yeah, thanks so much. But then you're like, oh my God, it's an octopus or whatever. No offense to octopus lovers, but like you're just sitting there like, oh my God, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I can't even look at it. But you're trying to be nice. So yes, there's a time and place to be appropriate. But if you're constantly doing it, you're not being true to yourself. Or if you all remember, like, when trend comes up, everybody gets on that train, and you're like, but I don't really like color of the year.
Going for
like,
it because everybody else is going for it.
yeah, like there was this trend with like really skinny eyebrows in the 90s, and I'm like, I'm not doing it. And now all these women are putting serums on because now what's in? Bushy eyebrows, right? So when you're not aligned with your inner and your outer, like if it doesn't feel right, that GPS, what I call it, right? It's like, it's telling you, well, I just want to reroute you here a little bit. And you're like, no, because this is the only way to get to Brooklyn. Like, this is the only way to get to Brooklyn. And the GPS is showing you, but it's traffic. Like, you'll still get to Brooklyn, but it may take you forever. There might be an accident. The car might break down. You might get to it tomorrow, but I'm trying to get you there in an hour. And you're fighting it with your whole might because this is the only way, because you already set your place in your expectations, how you're gonna get there. Fine, they're gonna let it go, and then you're stuck. Like, why am I not moving? And we're constantly questioning, and we're like, oh my God, the universe is not on my side. Nothing's on my side. Nothing's happening. I don't understand. I really want the red card. I'm working so hard for it. Yeah, but you're working hard in the direction that's really long and tedious, and you may never get there. And when you get there, sometimes you don't even want it anymore because you work so hard for it. It's not worth the prize.
But if you step back,
and just like, listen, I just want to get my red car. So whether it's gonna come from this store or somebody gonna gift it to me, I'm accepting it. I'm accepting things to come to me from wherever. I'm open to anything, right? As long as it comes to me in a positive way, meaning like not illegally or not dangerously, right?
I like that.
So I started practicing it. And when I started practicing it, things started falling into place. And I'm like, oh my God. Even with my husband, he would like, oh my God, it's just not working out. I said, stop focusing on what's not working out. Stop focusing on what's not working out because it's not helping you in any way. You're not growing. You're not moving forward. You're tripping over your past and you keep falling backwards.
But that's what he's focusing on.
That's what he's focusing
So what
on.
you
It keeps
focus on.
it keeps growing. So I have this concept that I created years and years and years ago, and I tell this to anybody who asks. You know how everybody's familiar with a hose, right? Regular hose that you hose the water, whatever.
Waterfall, yes.
So think of it this way. When you're turning on the hose, like an actual, without the all those functions, just a hose, it has like a really strong stream, right? Like it's really strong, and whatever it hits, it really hits. Okay, so that's your dreams. That's your intention.
Okay.
But if you're turning on a sprinkler system,
Okay.
it's everywhere, and it's not really getting the water, the amount of water that you need into that particular well or a tub or whatever, right?
Space, yeah.
Right. So you're still gonna get it filled up, but it may take you forever.
With the sprinkles, yes.
Correct. Same thing, like even in business, this is a concept that created when it comes to business, because
Okay.
people are like, oh, I want to open whatever the business is, and I'm like, okay, well, focus on it. Don't do beads and makeup and diapers and building and collecting stamps. Just focus on
the
what you
one-
want to do.
the one important.
Like with you, you love dancing, right? You focus your energy on dancing and you're becoming better and better and better and better and better, right?
Yeah.
But if you were like, oh my God, I really want to dance well, but I just don't have the time because I'm doing 60 other things, you're turned on your sprinkler system.
It's gonna take much longer to
It's going to take much longer, or maybe you'll never get there because depends on what level you want to be,
Right.
right? Certain things require a lot of work, right? So
Okay.
that's basically the concept of alignment.
I like it. I like it. Thanks for sharing. How does one learn to let go to get to the next level?
It's a big concept. My gosh,
Give us an
really,
example.
It really is not an easy thing to do, but I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there. And literally, what I'm saying is based on experience. I'm not preaching any of this. You can look it up yourselves, but it works. It really, truly works if you really kind of get into it. And it's like learning how to walk. You know, we don't believe we're ever gonna walk, but then suddenly we're walking and running and climbing mountains, and we're like, well, we started from nowhere. So. Basically, repeat the question one more time.
How do you let go
Yeah,
so that you can get to the next level in your
yeah, I wanted to frame it properly. So basically, let's say you have to always you have to start imagining things. What does that mean? For example, if you have an issue with something, right, and you're stuck on it. For example, you need a certain amount of money for something or whatever, like you don't have enough. Instead of focusing on the fact that you don't have enough, sit down, relax, right? Maybe turn on the music, whatever it is, but write down certain steps, how it happened backwards. For example, I have my house, pretend I have my house. What happened just before that I got my house? I signed the contract. What happened just before that? I met the realtor, right? Oh, I saw a bunch of houses, whatever.
Right.
What happened just before that? I met my realtor. Okay, so that means you need to meet a realtor. You already know. So if that's your process, like you don't know what to do, then that's your process. Then if it's still, you still have to walk backwards. What happened right before the realtor? Well, I started Googling where I want to be. I wasn't sure when I'm going to live. Okay, and what happened before that? So instead of moving forward and thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to buy this house, you have to think backwards as if you already have it. And how did you get there, but backwards? What happened right before that? And what happened right before that? I promise you, you can reach a lot of dreams, a lot of goals if you break it down into bite-sized pieces.
So before you even have it, look at what would you do
If you had it,
If you
how
had
did
it,
you-
what would you be doing?
Yeah.
What would be your step before that?
Exactly.
Oh, that's so
And I'll tell you
brilliant.
even more. I'll tell you even more. Let's say you don't know. Let's say you've never purchased a house and you just don't know. I'm not in real estate. I have no idea, right? So you would say, well, right before that, I started Googling for someone who can help me answer that question, right? So let's say if I know nothing about accounting, believe me, I don't. I know how to count though, but whatever. She actually helped me with my accounting class because I was dying over there in my school. But anyways, that's a different story for another day.
Okay.
So you have to find a certain professional to help you and guide you into the next step. We're not really born with every single skill on the planet, and we don't need to have it. There's no reason for it. One doctor cannot be a heart surgeon, a brain surgeon, a foot doctor, this doctor, that doctor. You're gonna go to professionals. The same thing with your hairdresser and your nail tech. Like, there's certain professions that will give you a better experience if you go to them specifically, and they spend so much time and energy doing it, right? So that's how you retrace it back. But visualization is really, really, really important. As Albert Einstein said, imagination is the preview to your life.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Imagine he knew something, right? Right. And he was brilliant. He was a brilliant man. They actually were studying his brain after his death. It was really amazing. But the things that he was saying was like mind-blowing, because we're learning about these things now in 2023, right?
Yeah.
But he already knew this. When was he around? Forever ago.
1800s.
I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not good at history.
Who knows?
I passed it, but barely. But the point is that how do you get to imagine things? We were just driving in the car a little while back, and I mentioned, you know how you like something? Let's say you like pets, or you like kids, or you like whatever videos that make you happy, that put you in that state of mind of oh my God, I feel so good right now. Like, I just want to take over the world. That feeling. Whether it's gonna make you have to dance or sing or play chess or whatever. Once you feel that feeling, that joy hits you, that happiness hits you, that's the time you should start visualizing. It's like your path just opened up, and you're like, oh, I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it.
I love it. And you can imagine like the
whatever
car, the
you
home,
want,
whatever your relationship, whatever you want for yourself. And like you said, what you focus on grows, right?
Correct.
So the more you imagine it in your mind, the mental rehearsal, like they say, rehearse it in your mind, the easier it will be to achieve, right? Because then you're going to get ideas, right? What step can I take next?
Yeah. And the more you do that, the more excited you are. The more like, wow, I can almost feel it, I can almost taste it, I can almost smell it, like all your senses are exploding. You feel like, wow, I'm really getting somewhere, like I feel excited. Maybe it'll push you to take that opportunity, maybe it'll push you to take that job. Like in my case, I was going from like one corner to the next in life until I reached a certain place where, you know, universe said, that's it, this is it. Like you're in the place, now make it work, right? I gave it to you, I delivered it, now make it work. And you work and you make it work, right? And sometimes you're gonna this is a really big thing that I want to mention, if you don't mind.
Yes, definitely mention.
You meet, I love her. She's so chill. She's like my chillest cousin.
Thank you.
There's a concept of a destination and a transportation, and I want to make sure that everybody understands it.
Okay.
And if you don't, just keep replaying the podcast, I guess.
Yes, just replay this one again.
It's a very important thing. Sometimes we meet people in our life. And we feel like, okay, this is it. This is gonna be my partner for life in business. I'm gonna like build castles with this person, or in marriage, or not in marriage, pre-marriage. Like when you're dating, it can happen at any point in your life. And then you feel like this is it, right? And then suddenly breakup comes in, or a partner in your business stole money, and you're like, how? I thought this is gonna be forever. The thing is, that person was your transportation to the destination.
Oh shoot! Didn't see that coming.
That person, I'm gonna just say one more time, guys. Write it down. Comment below if this hit you somehow. Transportation to your destination. Meaning, and my father, without saying it like this, taught me this concept. He always told us when we would leave the house for school, for work, for whatever, he's like, let things go. Don't get hung up on anything. Don't think about it. Just keep moving through life. And I didn't really understand it, but then it hit me. I'm like, a lot of these people that I've met in my life, that are no longer in my life, they were transportation. They've served their purpose, or maybe I served their purpose, whatever that might be. I'm not saying use people, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that sometimes people show up, and places show up, and jobs show up, and bosses show up, and I don't know, relatives, even friends, family members, yes. Friends. It could be literally anybody under the sun.
Walk into your life.
It shows up, they walk into your life for a season, right? It's another way of saying it. And then it's gone. And if the more you're looking back and crying over it, and yeah, it's okay to cry, but like don't let it really get in there. You're being hung up on something that no longer serves you. It's okay. Right? It no longer serves you. We're like soaking wet in here. I am literally
Good thing
soaking
it's
wet.
summer. Good thing it's summer. It's not winter.
You know, this is gonna be a great podcast.
I know, the best episode.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's like you're giving me the platform to let it out. Because usually I talk about makeup, and I'm so much more than makeup, and most people are. But anyways, this concept is very, very important. So I want to make sure that. Is my mic good? Yeah.
Yes.
I want to make sure that you understand the concept, because sometimes people will tell you, oh, he wasn't for you, she wasn't for you, the boss is not for you, don't pay attention. But really, we should thank them. It doesn't have to be in person, trust me, but in your mind.
Because there must have been
Thank
something.
them, because there is no way that you came out of that relationship or that business or that work or friendship or whatever it was without learning something. It doesn't necessarily have to benefit you in life in terms of like, oh wow, I got a promotion thanks to this dude, but now I no longer. No, it might be that you've been downgraded and embarrassed and maybe lost a job, but thank them for that, because they kind of pushed you a little bit further, a little bit faster.
Value yourself more.
Yeah. So you just have to thank them and say, you know what? I so appreciate that this person was in my life, and I'm so appreciative that they left. Really thank them, and then let it go.
Ooh,
That song, Let It Go.
But that part is so difficult because people get hung up. They're like, but why? But
we're
why
taught
did that
to hang
person
up.
leave? But why did that person, do you know what I'm saying? But they don't look at what was the positive in that. You know,
There might not be a positive, but you have to thank for the negative too. You have to also thank for the tears you shed, for losses you've had, for uncomfortable situations you were put in. Like, you have to thank for it, because at least that's what I do, and it makes my life easier, and it makes my world turn a little bit better, because I realize that, you know what, not everybody's gonna be with me when I reach my destination, and that's okay.
oh, right,
Because-
not everybody's
Yeah,
staying.
and sometimes people are like, stay, just one more time, one more year, one more thing, and then you're holding both of you back, if you think about it,
Why?
because that person might have a destination that has nothing to do with you. You were here to his transportation.
At this point in time, you were correct fit
were-
because you both needed to
That's
learn
it.
something.
That's
but
it.
then they might have different destination than you after that.
Because you
So-
gotta meet on different mountains. Why are you standing together and like whining about it? And I'm making it sound like it's easy. Believe me, it is not. I'm not discounting the feelings, because we're humans and we have feelings, and that's fantastic. But also, like, I raise my kids that way. I tell them, okay.
She has 6 kids, by
I have
the way.
6 kids. Thank God. Yes, I have 6 beautiful children. I'm so proud of them.
Beautiful kids, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. She's one of my cool aunts for them.
Love them.
But what I do with them is every time they fall or they're upset, I just say, okay, you know what? Like, you hug them, you kiss them, you know, you do your thing, and then you say, okay, now you're crying, but then you cry a little bit, but then you stop, and then you move on.
You don't stay in that.
You don't stay there, right? And sometimes one of my youngest kids, like my 3-year-old especially, I tell him, oh, that happened? Oh, wow, that's crazy. Oh, let's go. Let's eat something cool. Let's do something fun. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Let's go. I'm trying to distract them, because distraction gets people out of a lot of situations. So it's very important to surround yourself with people. Don't be afraid to keep moving forward. Give yourself permission to keep moving forward. What does that even mean? Like, sometimes we're thinking, I don't understand. I'm in a good place. Yes, you're in a comfortable place. Doesn't mean it's a good place.
Ooh, comfortable. That's exactly it.
Not one woman on the
Yes.
planet ever wanted to do something different when she was in her flats. But when we're in stilettos with high heels and we're uncomfortable, we're gonna find a way to be comfortable. We're gonna move and shake and do and move. That's just how it works. We grow in discomfort. We grow in discomfort. When you feel sad, aren't you gonna work hard to get out of it?
Yes.
But when you're not feeling anything, you're just sitting there bored. You're like, oh, I'm comfortable. That's fine. I don't have to do anything. It's okay. Because that's what a lot of people get stuck. I'm so comfortable at this job. I hate people I work with, but I'm so comfortable. Like, the paycheck is all right. Pays my bills. Is that where you want to be? Because if that's where you want to be, then stay there. Just stay there. It's fine. But if you want to get somewhere better, and I'm sure 100% that there's not one person on this planet who's okay with mundane. I've never heard anybody say, I'm so excited for my
Just to be
boring
as
life.
is.
Like, I've never met anybody. Did you? I have
as
never.
is.
And boring doesn't mean that you have to be constantly doing crazy things. I don't go on roller coaster. I'm the boring one, right?
No.
But like, my sister's, my cousin, her brother was always on roller coaster. I was like, no, I need my spine intact.
The roller coaster.
I need my spine intact. Forget it. So that's my thing, because it's a big topic. But if you're constantly going to tell yourself, this person is a transportation, this job is a transportation, this car is a transportation, this train is these people around me is transportation, doesn't matter. Don't call them, they're bastards, they're this that. Come on, like, we're grown-ups. We gotta speak a little bit more elevated than that, right? We can say, listen, this person has worked out for me for the past 3 months in my life, or year, or 3 days, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to move on. I'm taking on the next chapter. I'm ready to switch out to the next volume. So I'm turning the page.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you, and next. Oh, that's Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande's song. Thank you, next. Right.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, I'm the same way. I always say gratitude. Like, I always appreciate the person that was in my life, or the season that they were in my life, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a neighbor, whoever. I appreciate whoever they were in my life for a reason. I look at the positive. I look at what I learned, even if it's a negative. Like, yeah, maybe they taught me to value myself more. Maybe they taught me, whatever is the right way to speak, or whatever it is. I look at the positive or the negative, whatever the lesson was. I always end it with gratitude. I like gratitude. I think, like, that's like the key to kind of letting go as well, like you
100%.
mentioned. Is definitely like being in that gratitude state. And then, it's like I said, whatever the next chapter is, and you can always kind of look back on it, and it's your moment, that's your memory that you have.
yeah, always be ready to receive. Just remember that.
Ooh, I like that.
Always be ready to receive. Because if you're going to place an order and the UPS guy comes and he knocks on the door and you're not opening it, and you're sitting inside thinking, oh my God, when my package is coming, and you're constantly just saying that to yourself, but you're not opening the door, he's right outside. Go open the door and take your package. This is what we do in life. We're like, I don't have any opportunities. Make an opportunity. You don't have a space at a table, bring your own table. Do your own things. Why do you have to be at that table? Let them all sit and enjoy themselves. You make your own table, it'll fill up so fast with people like you. You won't believe it. And that's how you grow your tribe.
That's a good key lesson right there. You don't have to wait for someone to give an invitation to the table. You can create your own table. You can create your own thing. You can make it whatever you want it to be. You don't have to
decorate it, make it square, make it triangle, however you want, bring colorful whatever you want to do, make your own table.
I love it. Yeah, because a lot of people do get stuck on, I don't have an opportunity, I don't have a connection, I don't have any outlet, so I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah. Same thing in anything you're doing, in business and life and relationships. And you can apply literally what I'm saying in every single aspect of your life. Whether you are younger, older, mid-age, it doesn't even matter. The mind is our best friend and our worst enemy. Ooh. It really, really is.
Ooh, what do you mean?
Because sometimes our mind will tell us things that are not true. And sometimes it'll tell us the things that are true and we're not listening. Yeah. And so a lot of times, you know how sometimes people tell you, Maria, you look so nice today, but you don't feel like you look nice today?
Yeah.
So who is the enemy here? You're your own enemy. You can say, oh, really? Oh, I thought I wasn't. Oh, okay, cool. And move on with your life. But we're like, nah, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too this, I'm too tall, I'm not pretty enough. Look at this one, look at that one, look at this one. For what reason? For what reason are we doing it? Listen, if you want to use a filter when you're when you're talking on your selfie or whatever, turn it on. If you want to dress up and put some makeup or whatever, do it. If this is what makes you, if this is what turns and triggers your confidence and your happiness, just do it. I mean, okay, so how many people are not in their best weight? Comment below. Tell us. How many of you feel like you're not in your best weight? Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you have to be overweight or underweight. It doesn't matter.
It could be either one.
It could be literally either one. I promise you, somebody who is bigger than you is going to look at you and think you're crazy. Somebody who's smaller than you is going to think you're crazy. Because there's no right or wrong.
Yes.
I promise you. I just saw my video the other day. I sent it to our group. And I saw myself. I was like, oh my God, I was so skinny back then. And then at that moment, I remembered I thought I was the fattest person on the planet.
You didn't think that way.
And I was so thin. And my husband was like, wow, like literally, how could you think of yourself as... I was like, yeah. Listen, I understand that there's healthy and unhealthy. So we're going to have to trust yourself to figure out what's healthy and unhealthy for you, right? Because we're always going to be our own worst critics. We're always going to be our own worst enemies. A lot of people we're always going to be our own worst anything.
Look at every little detail.
But at the same time, we are the only ones who can give ourselves validation also.
Oh my God, go into that. Oh my God, what do you do? What do you do? Because a lot of people really don't value themselves. How can they value themselves without waiting for someone outside of them to bring them that
God, I love your
validation?
questions. I love the spot. This might be my favorite. No offense to anyone else, but it might be my favorite.
Yeah, there's a lot of people just sitting there and they're
Because people think validation and acceptance is a big thing. It's not. I was watching somebody yesterday and she said, I mean, I don't want to go into like very religious things, but it was a topic about her way of doing things, right? How do you see yourself? So I'm going to say, let's take a mom, because that's pretty universal.
Okay.
Let's say I feel good about being a mother when I dressed my kids and sent them to school. That's my mom state of mind. Someone else might feel being a good mom is buying cans of food, putting it on the plate and giving it to their kids. Because the concept is that they're fed, right? We both right now validating ourselves as good moms in our own ways. That's a very tiny way of doing it. Instead of, oh my God, I follow this woman online and she's perfect and she cooks and she cleans for them and she preps, she meal preps, and her kids are always like a month before camp, they're already all done. And we are starting to like dig into our own soul. Like, I'm not good enough. I really need to get myself together. How can I let my kids eat food from the can? How can I How can I take coffee in the morning before going and then spending time at a yoga class and becoming a better mom? Becoming a better me does not require a whole world that's gonna change. If that woman or that man that you follow on social media is way too inspiring, so inspiring that you're diminishing your own self-worth, unfollow. It's a button.
Stop looking
Stop
at them.
following them. Follow someone who's a total mess and say, oh my God, I'm freaking amazing. You follow me?
Okay.
And then you're gonna, because you need to grow yourself. You need to elevate your own self. You need to build the blocks as you are growing.
But
right?
what are some of the ways they can do that? Should they say positive things to themselves? Should they
They
appreciate the small things they do?
So that's what I'm saying. Appreciate what you have right now. Appreciate what you're doing. Are your kids fed? End of the day. Are your kids fed? Are they bathed? Yeah. You're doing great.
So give yourself like a check. Give yourself a reward. Give
Pour yourself a cup of wine.
for the smallest thing you have
exactly.
achieved. I like it.
People think you need to celebrate big things. Oh my God, I became a successful business owner. Oh my God, I married the man of my dreams. Oh my God, I finally had my daughter or son, whatever I waited for. That's great to celebrate. But what about all the little tiny things that made you and took you from place to place to place? Oh my God, I went on a blind date. Oh my God, I finally put on that lipstick. Oh my God, I finally did my hair. Oh my God, I finally just applied for that job. I didn't even get the job yet, but the fact that I applied for it, I finally got the guts to apply. Or finally I told my boss that I don't want to work there anymore. Really celebrate. Do you know how much that adds up?
Oh, so acknowledge yourself for all the small little accomplishments that you have. All the little ones.
Yeah.
Acknowledge yourself. Wow, I did an amazing job with this. I did an amazing job.
Wow, Yelena, good job. Wow, Maria, good job. Wow, I brushed my teeth today before I drank my water. Congratulations.
Yeah. So you're not waiting for somebody else outside of you to keep praising you or telling you you're a good person. You're kind of training yourself to know from inside of you, oh, wait a minute, I did a good job today. I'm giving myself praise. I'm giving myself the credit.
Yeah.
And then you're not waiting for somebody outside of you to say, oh, did I did a good enough job? How did I do? Did I did a good enough job?
Exactly.
Right? So I think that's a very good key. I like that. I like that. That's a very strong kind of small thing that anybody can do. Who's not feeling strong about themselves and are waiting for somebody else to come into their life and tell them that they're amazing. You can tell yourself you're amazing.
Yeah. Remember, thank you is free. You don't need to have a career to say thank you. You don't need to have money. You don't have to have husband, wife, grandma, grandpa. You don't have to have anything or anyone next to you to say thank you. Remember Snoop Dogg's speech that's been viral?
Oh, I
want to thank me.
Myself. I want to thank
that
myself.
That is such a
healthy,
wonderful thing. You should have it. Everybody should download it or make their own version, whatever. And whenever you feel like, oh man, I didn't get that job. Yeah, but you went to the interview. But you dressed up. But you did more than the guy that didn't show up for the interview did, or the girl that didn't show up. You went, even though you were tired, you took so many steps. And you know what? if it didn't work out, if they didn't take you, you say, oh my God, thank God, because I didn't want it to drag out. I got a job and I hated it. You follow? Continue the story in your head. Whatever is gonna make you feel better and move on. Oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't get the job. I'm sure that I would have hated it, and then I would have felt awkward telling my boss I want to leave in 2 months. Universe said, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's not for you. And the guy goes, I'm sorry, we're gonna go with the other person. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Bye.
I love it. Okay, I love it. Okay, I think I have like 3 more questions and we're gonna wrap this up because the weather is really asking for.
I already forgot it's raining.
I know, it's been such
and
a
my
fun,
hair, like
it's
the
been
humidity
such
found
a fun
it.
time. We're really having a fun time here. I love it. Okay, so what is your favorite kind of mantra that you like to live by? Like what kind of gets you through the day sometimes if you're having like a difficult day? What do you say to yourself?
5 more minutes.
What does that mean?
I literally say that.
What does that mean?
That means 5 more minutes of this and it's gonna be over. I've said this to myself during the deliveries when I delivered my children, and when it became really tough, like, and then I told myself just 5 more minutes. Or like if I'm in an uncomfortable situation amongst uncomfortable people, I'm like, you know what, 5 more minutes. And then you just keep telling yourself 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes.
So it doesn't feel like forever.
It doesn't feel like forever. When I used to take tests, I would say, okay, 5 more minutes of this torture. Okay, the class is boring. Okay, 5 more minutes. That's been my mantra my whole life.
Oh, wow.
But the mantra that I tell my children is,
Yeah.
let it go, let it go. And you guys know Elsa and Anna, right?
Yeah.
Forgot the name of it. Whatever.
Frozen.
But, Frozen. Thank you.
Yes,
Frozen, the movie Frozen. When she
Frozen.
says let it go, I literally apply it to every time they whine. Even with my husband, me and my husband are talking about something and we're like hung up on a thing, on some kind of a topic. I'm like, you know what? Let it go. And I would just go into the song. And he would start laughing and I would start laughing and it's like,
I love it. That's a good tip, by the way. That's a very good tip because people do get hung up on the smallest things that really, in the long term, don't really matter.
and it's not even about that thing anymore. We don't even remember since that's why we even started it. I mean, I
doesn't
remember
matter.
everything. But I'm just saying, like, we just sometimes keep talking and we're like, I don't even know where we started, but I have to keep going because I don't want to look stupid, right? But you're like, I don't even care anymore. But if I stop, he'll think I'm a failure, and vice versa. And we just keep going, and then you're just like, you know what? Just let it go. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't even care about the past thing. Like, I don't even care.
I love it. Yeah, sometimes it's like, I think somebody mentioned one time, the trick is to zoom out of your current situation and
I
look
told
at the
you
bigger
that
picture.
when we were talking the other day.
Probably, yeah. It's
Picasso,
like,
you know
zoom
Picasso,
out.
you guys? He has this dotted painting. I think it's Picasso. And it was dots. When you come close, you only see the dots. But when you pull back, it's a picture. It's an actual painting. It's beautiful. And that's the same with life. We're sometimes so hung up because we like micromanage everything and we zoom in on everything. When you zoom out and you're like, you know what? It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter.
Like your kid is yelling and screaming and you're like, okay, so continue. Like finish your thing. I'm gonna just wait. And they let it go because they're not getting any attention from you and they just let it go. Same thing in life. Let go of those negative situations that don't serve you and they're gonna go away. You're not feeding them.
Yeah, because you said what you focus on grows, right?
Correct.
So if you're going to keep focusing on the negative that doesn't work for you, you're going to keep creating more of that, right? But
Yeah,
if you choose to focus on the future, right? You said you usually, what you practice is you focus on the future, right?
Yeah.
You don't sit there dwell on the
No,
past.
no. And don't talk about other people. Another thing. Don't discuss them. Don't do it behind their back. Don't do it in front of them.
Yes.
If you have a real issue with someone, you go to them privately and you tell them, listen, Maria, I think you're too cute. So like, stop it. No, but like seriously, like just come
If
to
you
the
have an
person
issue with
and just
someone,
kindly, respectfully
discuss it together.
tell them. Don't expect they're gonna say, oh, okay. Just make sure that you did your part. You said it, and the rest is already, out on the table. You let it go. But don't do this thing behind people's back. You know what she said? He said, it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot of energy out of you. You're gonna feel depleted. You're gonna feel lost. You're gonna feel empty. Don't do that. Don't get yourself to that place.
Yeah, I like that because, yeah, that's true. Sometimes people forget that really all you have to do is resolve the situation with that person and that's it. There's no need to involve everybody else. There's no need to involve a gazillion other people because, like I said, it's just a waste of your energy, a waste of your time.
Yeah.
And just stick with your own kind of thing. Okay, so we have 1 or 2 more questions. So if you could create one law or rule that everybody in the world had to follow, what would it be?
Wow, this is a good one. You should have given me in advance. The one rule that everybody needs to follow,
Everybody in the world is
don't say everything that's on your mind.
Ooh.
I'm banning you. Don't say, I don't care if you're behind the keyboard, you're a keyboard warrior, you're online, or you're in person. Filter it. I think that's what I would do. Yeah, feel good about that one.
Perfect. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up soon. We do have some more questions, but I think because of the weather, we're gonna have to probably.
You can do it. I don't
You
care.
want to do it? Okay, we'll do 2 more questions.
We're already soaking wet, so we might as well.
Two more questions from the deck. You know, we love the deck. Okay. What is the coolest, most unique, or important skill that you learned from your job or all your jobs or your entire journey?
The most important skill?
Yeah, a cool skill, maybe people skills, maybe, you know, like how to not react to people. Maybe.
Not sell, but share.
What does that mean?
It means like, it's like a whole concept, but meaning whatever we were taught how to sell things, I shifted that in, and I'm just sharing. I'm just sharing with you what I have, and then leaving it up to you to make the decision to get it or not.
Oh, so you're kind of presenting it. There it is. Open
so I'm
palm.
asking you, like, what is the issue you're trying to resolve? And you tell me, and I'm like, well, this is what I recommend. And then I leave it to you.
And you step back.
And I step back.
Let them decide.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. What? Well, I don't want this one. A mistake you made along the way that you would like to save others from making.
Oh my God, don't rush to grow. Don't rush to grow. That's very important.
What do you mean?
A lot of people think, oh my God, I have this cool idea. I'm going to get investors. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this on board. I'm going to get this on board. And then they put too many things in too many eggs in their basket, and they mentally can't handle it, and they crush.
Oh, too fast, too soon.
Yeah.
Don't go too fast.
Don't rush to grow. Take your time, because everything requires, like, it's sort of like an exercise, like
you have
to build
to get
that
to
muscle.
That level. Yeah, you have to get to that level.
Go. You can't take an elevator in life. You have to walk up the stairs. So don't rush to get to where you want to get too fast. Slow and steady wins.
I like it. Thank you. Ooh, what is the title of this season of your life?
I'm back, baby.
I love it. I don't know where that came from, but that's I love it. Okay, that's such a good answer. I don't even know
How to follow that.
Okay, we'll do one more. Out of all the extraordinary people you have encountered, and you have encountered a ton of people in your journey,
That's true.
who made one of the largest impacts that is still in your mind?
Oh my gosh. My mom.
Okay.
Because she is, she's one of the strongest mentally people that I know. And she, no matter what, and this woman went through a lot in her life, she never once complained. She never once told me, Yelena, you know, I went through it, you shouldn't do it, Not once. She, knowing me, how ambitious I've always been, she was with me every step of the way, holding my hand. She never fought me on anything. She never went against me. She never gave me ultimatums. She's the calmest person I know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't understand how you're staying calm. This is crazy. And she just quietly listens to what I have to say, and then she changes the subject. She's like, I'm not even gonna entertain this nonsense. I learned so much from her.
Wow.
Of course, my dad also, because he gave me. I'm an entrepreneur thanks to him.
Your dad is amazing.
But in terms of like that grounded character, I mean, this woman can take over the world, and no one's gonna know. That's how amazing she is. She really, truly is. You know her. She's an amazing woman.
Definitely.
So my biggest influencer is her.
Interesting, because would you say your upbringing, the way that you were taught to think or maybe be, had a lot to do with who you are today? Like, because a lot of times people have parents who like push them to do something they really don't want to do, or like force them to a certain path. Would you say your upbringing had a lot to do with
100%.
how you were able to live your life
100%.
the way you want?
My mom and dad are very different. My father is an extrovert. He's loud and entertaining and fun and the center of attention. And my mom is a 180-degree opposite.
Introvert.
She's quiet. She doesn't like to take pictures. Like, she doesn't like to wear makeup. She's just such a simple woman. And I grew up in that balance, and I believe I got the balance from both of them. Because I can be just as loud as I can be quiet.
Oh.
I think it's called an ambivert, when you're both.
You can be both.
Yeah, like I can be both. And I know when to be quiet and I know when to speak, which is my mom's quality. My dad loves to speak. He's very open. But my mom doesn't speak at all, right? Until you ask her and like kind of push her to like, you just like give us a few words. But she just likes to be in the background. So yeah, absolutely, it had to do with my upbringing.
Yeah, because they didn't really force you, they didn't pressure you.
They never pressured me ever. Like the biggest thing that what they were like against when I wanted to become a cosmetologist, and they weren't like, "How dare you? You're going against our parents and our." None of them. They're just like, "What are you doing with your life? Like, are you crazy?" Like, very chill. But they never, ever, ever forced any one of us, none of my siblings, to do anything. Every single thing we've done in our life was our choice.
You figured it out on your own. You were like,
it was our choice. This. Because my dad would always say, listen, make your choices and be responsible for them.
Oh.
Make your bed and sleep in it.
Okay. What would you say if there was like kind of, if you have like I guess right now an opportunity to speak to people, what message would you want to share with people?
I will share what my dad always taught us. Don't take life too seriously. He always told us that. Just don't take your life too seriously. Enjoy your life. Enjoy connections. Even if they're for 5 minutes, even if it's at a networking event, just enjoy it. Be in the moment. Don't put everything on social media. You don't have to be live everywhere. You don't have to do stories from every single restaurant, take pictures of every single food you eat. Be in the moment. Treasure people. People come and go too fast out of our lives, right? Come in and go out. This is at the same speed. So enjoy them while they're there and enjoy them when they leave.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. That's amazing. I love it. I love when you like a little hug. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so before we wrap up, so I just want to acknowledge a quick thank you to you for doing this in the rain, for doing this in this.
I've never done this in the rain.
This is definitely a first.
This is for the books. This one's for the books.
This is the first, so definitely thank you so much for taking the time with your
of course
6 kids and everything to do this. You're definitely one of the coolest humans I know. And
aww, that's why I came here for compliments.
Yes, and definitely always learn from you just by you being yourself and just who you are. It's always very, very exciting. It's always very educational. Smallest things to largest things, always beautiful. But yeah, so just want to say a quick thank you for doing this.
Wow.
And where can people find you on social media or website?
Well, it's my name backwards, AneleyCosmetics.com. On Instagram, it's Aneley Cosmetics. On Facebook, it's Aneley Cosmetics. You can't miss me. I'm very loud.
Yeah, we will link it below.
Yes, you can't miss me. Yeah. If you forget my name, you weren't on this podcast. So.
It's Yelena backwards, everybody.
It's Yelena backwards. Aneley Cosmetics everywhere. So.
Okay, is there anything you would like to share that we didn't talk about?
I think we covered enough.
We did.
Topics.
We talked about
everything. We may have a part 2 of this, but I think we covered a little bit of a lot of things.
It was
and I
amazing.
think we covered important things.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah. We might do a part 2 later, but for today, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Ah.